Welcome to Parlay TV.
Plenty of things look easy at first. Skydiving, lion taming. From the comfort of your armchair, all sorts of risks look easy as
Cristiano Ronaldo, Diogo Jota, and Bruno Fernandes literally
blew Russia off the park in a clinical display of attacking football.
Wow.
Sorry, what did you say, Kobe?
Wow, bro.
Let's break it down.
I am Pat Mayo, and I'm here to give you the best pick at the top of the board, the best bet, if you will.
So I'm going to go with just under 25 for Middleton here.
Welcome back, everybody, to Spreadzies. I'm your host, Luca, alongside Jelani, and we are back with our NFL picks. Before we jump into this slate of games for this week, last week I went 9-5 to now bring my overall record to 94-83, while Jelani had the best week yet. I mean, he is running away with this thing. Jelani, how did you do?
I had a great week. I was very shocked, to be honest with you. There were some games that I wasn't sure about, but I went 12-2 this week. I only messed up on last night, Monday Night Football, and with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, yeah, now overall I'm 101-76. So I'll take that for sure.
For those of you watching, Jelani's on fire right now. So if you need some picks, I mean, you just got to listen to him throughout the show. So we are moving on now to week 15. I can't believe the NFL season's almost over. This season has flew by, and here we are. A lot of interesting matchups. We got a Thursday nighter, a couple of Saturday games. Before we get into all of the games, we're going to start with Thursday, and that is a spectacular matchup on paper, on the field. You got the Chiefs, who are red hot right now. They're back taking on the Chargers, who have strung together a couple of nice wins lately. Who do you like here?
I like KC. I think KC is back. I didn't believe, in all that stuff that was being said about them early in the year. I know they were starting slow. They weren't the Chiefs that we've seen the past few years, but they're back. And if they win on Thursday, they become the number one seed in the AFC, given that the Patriots drop one on Saturday. So this is going to be a great matchup for sure. You have Patrick Mahomes against Justin Herbert. I think that Patrick Mahomes and the offense have found their groove. We saw what they did to the Raiders in their past game. We finally seen, touchdowns from Patrick Mahomes, things that we haven't seen over the past few weeks. So I think they're going to have a nice game against the Chargers here. But also for the Chargers, the reason why I'm not taking them here is because, they're dealing with certain guys being out right now. We have Derwin James, hamstring. I don't know if he's going to play or not on Thursday, And then you have Keenan Allen. He was on COVID protocol this week, so it's not too certain if he's going to be playing on Thursday night. And Austin Eckler, he had a prior ankle injury that he's dealing with. So all these things, all those big names I just mentioned for the Chargers makes me believe in KC, who also has a defense that's balling right now, only allowing 17 points or fewer in their last 6 games in this run. So Herbert will score. But how much, right? Because 13 points per game allowed since week 6 for Kansas City leads me to believe that Jones and Melvin Ingram, these guys will get to Herbert at times and they'll win the game because of it.
Yeah, I got to agree with you here to open up the show. I love the Chiefs in this spot. 4-0 against the spread in their last 4 games. They're on a 6-game winning streak. They're back. Both offensively, defensively, they're doing a lot of good things out there. Like you just said, Jelani, they still have a chance at that number 1 seed. Who would have thought when this team was sitting at 3-4 that they would have a chance at this point of the season? The Chargers are a really good team, but I just don't trust them. You look at some of their losses before this mini 2-game winning streak, a lot of inconsistent football, and I do think the Chiefs are going to repay some revenge here. Remember, the Chargers beat them in Kansas City at the start of the season. I like Patrick Mahomes and you Reed & company to be much better prepared this time around. So they're going to go into LA and win this game. So I'll take the 3 here. Give me the Chiefs -3.
Okay. And the Chargers also 4-10 in their last 14 as home dogs. So now we have the Raiders and the Browns. So this is a nice one. Why? Because both teams need a win. They're both in the hunt right now for the AFC. Who you got?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. The line, I think, opened up at about -6. Now it's -3. I'm going to go with the Raiders. I think the Raiders are going to respond here and win. They're 5-2 against the spread in their last 7 games as a road underdog. Cleveland, they almost blew that game against the Ravens. You talk about teams that I cannot trust right now. Cleveland is at the top of that list. I mean, yeah, they looked really good off the bye against the Ravens, but the Ravens, who had their backup quarterback, a bunch of backup defensive players, almost came back and won that game. Like, the Browns should have easily won that game in convincing fashion. I know the Raiders are slumping right now, but they play their best football when their backs are up against the wall. I do like the spot for them. I think they're going to go into Cleveland and make this game interesting. These are two teams that are very much still alive in the playoff picture. So I'll take the points here with the Raiders +3.
Yeah, I'm taking the Raiders as well here. I know it's a tough call because both teams haven't really looked that great. To be honest with you, you're looking at the Raiders dealing with so much in that organization this season. And when you're looking at the Browns, they also haven't been the best, right? But I think Derek Carr here, these guys get it done. I think they're going to pull off, an upset in, a sense, because some people just don't believe the Raiders are that team anymore. But in order for that to happen, I think that they must stop Myles Garrett. He is arguably the defensive player of the year right now. So the O-line has to show up. The O-line has struggled to keep Derek Carr protected back there. So if they show up, let's say the line is there, then they have a much better shot. And honestly, Darren Waller, is he going to be back for the Raiders? Not too, sure yet, but he's questionable right now. So if he is out there, that obviously helps the Raiders out a ton. I'm going to say, with or without him, I think the Raiders actually get this one done, get back in the win column, and cover here.
Yeah, they need it now or never for them. And by the way, that is a Saturday game. In the nightcap now of Saturday, it is one of the biggest games of the week. I'm looking forward to this one. The New England Patriots riding a 7-game win streak, taking on the Colts. Both of these teams coming off the bye. Both of these teams historically great off the bye. Who do you got here?
I got the Patriots. The Patriots, I believe in them right now. They're playing great football, 7-game win streak. Obviously, they beat some good teams. You got the Chargers, Tennessee, Buffalo, right? So they're on a nice run right now, and it's because of that guy on the screen, Bill Belichick. I think that this week they're going to implement a plan to stop the run. We know what Jonathan Taylor can do and Naheem Hines, right, for the Colts. But they're going to want Carson Wentz. They're going to ask Carson Wentz, can you beat us with your arm this week? I don't know if Wentz will outduel Belichick in that top defense that they have in New England. They're going to pressure Wentz. They're going to bother him. They're going to bother the receivers. I just believe in the Patriots' defensive game plan right now. They're playing incredible football. But the Colts are a scary team. I think that when you're looking at the AFC, this is one team you don't want to play in the playoffs. I think they're, built for physical games like we'll see on Saturday. But at the end of the day, time of possession is the name of the game. I think the Pats will show us what they did show us last week against the Bills. Remember that game where they ran it down the Bills' throat? They had the ball for the most part of that game. I think whoever wins time of possession battle this week will get it done. I think that will be the Patriots. And also they lead the league in point differential. So that's really helpful for them. But yeah, look for Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson this week in the running game for the Pats. Give me the Pats.
Yeah, beautifully said. I got to go with the Patriots here. They have shown that they can win any type of game, any style of game. And I just think that this is the most complete team in all of football right now. The way that Bill Belichick has these guys playing, it's incredible. That defense is outstanding. I do think they're going to shut down Wentz. They're going to shut down that running game. And Mac Jones, he doesn't have to be, incredible out there. All he has to do is make the throws when needed. And I mean, we saw a game in Buffalo that he only threw the ball, 3 times and they still won. So that's how good this Patriots team is. They can be used so many different ways, special teams, defense, and Mac Jones just needs to do what he needs to do to win. So I love how the Patriots are looking right now. The Colts are a solid team. That's a good point you brought up about nobody wants to play the Colts in a potential playoff matchup because this team has shown that they can, go into an environment. They can play a team they're not supposed to beat and beat them, but you cannot bet against the Patriots right now. I mean, you look at the Chiefs and the Patriots, 2 of the hottest teams in football. These are 2 teams that are for real in the AFC. So I think the Patriots are going to win another one here to extend their winning streak.
It will be interesting because the Colts have won 4 of their last 5 and, trying to keep pace with teams like the Bengals, Chargers, the Bills who are lurking in the AFC. But let's move on to the Carolina Panthers and the Buffalo Bills this week. Do you got the Bills here? They're favored pretty big.
Yeah, a lot of points here on the board, and Josh Allen dealing with a foot sprain, but he should be good to go for this one. I like the Bills in this spot. I think they're pissed off, they're frustrated. They lost two in a row as they expected, to Belichick and then Brady. So it's been an awful last couple of weeks for the Bills and their fans. I think this is a get it right spot for them. I think they're going to blow the door off of Carolina. Right now, the Panthers got problems. Cam Newton, he's riding the bench. PJ Walker's not good enough, and they just don't have enough offensive punch, I think, to keep up with Buffalo here. McCaffrey's still out. That defense does not look good. I mean, look what Matt Ryan and company just did to them a week ago. So the Bills, I think they're going to get it right. They're going to absolutely show up here, and they need to, because right now they're 7-6. They're borderline in the playoffs, and if they somehow lose here, there are a lot of good teams right on their tail begging to get into the postseason dance. So the Bills have to show up, play hard here. I think they will. 10.5's a lot, but I do think they cover.
I have to agree with you again. I think that the Panthers, like you said, they're just not a good team right now. They're struggling. And it's very clear that they aren't that team that started off the year. Remember, they were 3-0. Yeah, that was a long time ago. Since then, 2-8, right? And there's so many issues. We're seeing Cam Newton. He's just struggling. And I know he hasn't played in a while, so he's obviously transitioning back, to being a starter. But a lot of problems on that offense. We're seeing, like you mentioned, we're seeing PJ Walker. He's also not that guy right now. They just fired their OC, Joe Brady, the other day. So they're trying to find something, right, to work, and it's not happening for them right now. So Matt Rule, I don't know if you want to continue doing that quarterback by committee. I just don't think that's going to really work. And I guess a team in Buffalo that has a nice defense when it comes to the pass defense, this is just not a good recipe for the Carolina Panthers. And I just think, you're looking at Cam Newton, right? He's 0-11 in his last 11 starts in Carolina. That's not good. And this is a get-right game for the Bills, who are coming off of a few losses. So they're seeing this as an opportunity to get back in the win column, try to get back in that race for the wild card. So, yeah, give me the Bills here. I don't think it's going to be really close. I just hope that Buffalo runs the ball with their running backs. A lot is being asked of Josh Allen right now.
Yeah, and credit to Josh Allen and the Bills. They almost pulled off the comeback against Tampa Bay, so they got to use that momentum here. Okay, the game of the week here, Jelani. Texans, Jags. It's the Tank Bowl. I mean, number one pick on the line here. Who do you got winning?
Yeah, I know. I can't wait for this one. It's going to be amazing. I got Houston. I think that Jacksonville is just in such a rough spot right now. And it's not just because of what's going on the field. I think it's off the field. There's so much happening with their head coach, Urban Meyer, that drama in the locker room, calling people losers and all that sort of thing. So I think that's really getting in their heads in terms of the players. I think they're a bit thrown off by what's happened with their head coach this season. And honestly, there's a lot of struggle that we're seeing from rookie quarterback Trevor Lawrence right now. I know he's a rookie, so give him some time. But yeah, and they lack weapons. But same could be said for the Texans. They're not the best team either, but I think that we're going to get to see Davis Mills in this spot. I think he's going to have a pretty nice game. He's going to be the starter. Obviously, Tyrod Taylor's not out there. But yeah, they're two poorly constructed teams, poorly operated. I don't know who's worse. I think the Texans come away with a win here.
Yeah, Jags have no business being favored, considering they haven't won a game in who knows how long. All the stuff with Urban Meyer, that team, he's lost them. The players obviously are frustrated, and I'm surprised Meyer hasn't been fired yet. I mean, this has just been a disastrous season in Jacksonville. I feel bad for those guys. Trevor Lawrence too, first season in the NFL, and he has to go through all these off the field issues like you just named. So, yeah, I'm strictly just going with the Texans here because, again, the Jags, I don't know how they're favored in this spot, 3.5. I'll take the points. And the Texans did show me a lot more in their loss against Seattle. I mean, at one point, they were in that game in the first half. Then the Jags showed us against the Titans getting shut out 20-0. So, yeah, I'm going with the Texans here.
All right, we agree there. And let's look at the Titans and the Steelers. A pretty interesting game this weekend. Who you got?
Yeah, I think we've agreed with every pick so far. So I'll change it up here. Assuming you have the Titans, because I'm going with the Steelers. I do think the Steelers are going to have the mini upset here. I think the Steelers, they came alive in that second half against the Vikings. I thought they were going to pull it off. I mean, you look at the screen right there. I think that's one of the reasons why they failed that attempt at a comeback. Claypool, I don't know what you're doing, man. Like bringing the ball to center, spike the football. Why are you celebrating when you need to get into the end zone? That was one of the biggest mishaps of the season. So I think the Steelers, though, they did show a lot of promise in that second half. Big Ben able to move the ball. The run game got it going, and the defense stepped up when they needed to keep that game, reasonable in the fourth quarter. I know the Titans are a solid team right now. I know TJ Watt too. It's worth watching that. What's his health status going into this one? But I just have this feeling the Steelers in December, they need one here to keep their playoff hopes alive. I think they're really going to make this a game. They're really going to take it to Tennessee. I expect this to be a low-scoring, physical game, old-school game, and I do like the Steelers at home to get it done.
All right, we disagree for the first time today. I got the Tennessee Titans. I know that a lot of their weapons are out, so Ryan Tannehill has kind of struggled without them. He hasn't been looking the greatest when, obviously all your wide receivers are out. But I think this week, A.J. Brown, he could return. Not too sure right now what everyone's saying, but he could return from his injuries. He had a chest and rib. So we'll see what happens there. But I think this week, Tennessee has to run the football a lot, and that's what they do. They're one of the only teams in the league that is still old school and likes to have, the running game be the premier, spot on their offense. So I think this week, the Tennessee Titans will run the ball. We saw what happened last week. Dalvin Cook, he went crazy on the Steelers. All these holes that weren't being clogged by that D-line and by linebackers, it showed, and they got exposed in terms of the running defense, right? They allowed 205 to Cook. So this week, the running back by committee for Tennessee is going to help them a lot. And I think, Big Ben, as for the offense for the Steelers, I think Big Ben, he looked really good in that second half against the Vikings. How is he going to look this week? Not too sure. I think that the Titans are going to be able to pressure Roethlisberger. I think that he's going to get bothered. And, as a result, I think the Titans come away with not only, the spread here, but I think a victory.
Yeah, that's going to be important for the Steelers. You look in the last couple of games, they have gotten off to very bad starts. They got bailed out in that game against the Ravens coming back, but then against the Vikings, I mean, they were too much in a hole and they simply could not get out of it. Okay, next game here, we got the Cardinals who lost on Monday Night Football. One of your losses against the spread, few losses against the spread. They're now going to be taking on the Detroit Lions. Big number here. Who are you going with?
I don't think that this week they'll let me down. I got the Cardinals. I don't think this is going to be close at all. I see them winning this game by a lot of points. They're arguably the best offense in the league. They score points at will every drive or every other drive. And the Lions, we know who they are. They do have a lot of struggles in terms of defense, right? So this is a tough spot for Detroit for sure. And honestly, the Cards, they wanted to win that game last night against LA to make sure that they're still ahead in not only, the division, but having a chance for that number one seed for the bye. I think this is a break here for Arizona. Obviously, coming off of that loss, they're angry. They want to give it to Detroit. Sorry, Detroit. It's going to be a long day.
I've time and time again have chosen Detroit on the show, and I'm going with them here again. 13 and a half, way too many points. And Detroit has proven that they can cover the number. I know they got blown out last week against Denver. I think that was just a bad spot for them. They had a bunch of guys in health and safety protocol. But I do think they're going to show up here. 8-5 against the spread and 5-2 against the spread in the last 7 games as a home underdog. So Detroit, you got to tip your cap to them. I know their record is terrible. They've only won once. They've tied a game. But they have played a lot of these teams tough. And I'm just not a believer in this Cardinals team. I think we are going to see them face a little bit of adversity in this game. And yeah, I do like Detroit to hang around with them. I think Detroit, they can put up points on the board, which is going to be key here because, Arizona likes to air it out. And you look at a few weeks ago, the Chicago Bears only lost that game by 11 against the Cardinals, and they were at home. So I do like Detroit's offense at this point a lot better than I like Chicago. So I do think Detroit will, not lose this game by more than 2 touchdowns. So I'm going to, give me the unpopular choice here. But yeah, give me the Lions plus 13.5 against one of the best teams in football.
All right, we'll see what happens with Detroit this week. And let's move forward to the Jets and Dolphins rivalry game in the AFC East. Who you got this week?
Yeah, Dolphins 4-0 against the spread in their last 4 home games. They're also 6-0 against the spread in their last 6 games following a bye. That's my pick. I love the Dolphins in this spot. Who would have thought the Miami Dolphins would have a good shot at making the playoffs? I mean, this team has completely turned their season around. Good for them. Good for Tua. Good for that entire organization. Everything looked like it was headed downhill. You had all the rumors, Deshaun Watson, et cetera, et cetera. This team has completely flipped the script. Their defense is playing unreal. Tua's looking good out there. He keeps getting better. They're coming off their bye, so they're going to be 100% for this game, well rested. And the Jets, they're the opposite. They're a mess. They have never gotten into a rhythm this season. They're headed for one of the top picks again in the NFL draft. Miami, this is a lot of points for them. They usually win these games by about 4 or 7 points, but I think they're just going to shut the Jets down. I don't trust the Jets to do anything offensively in this one. So I like Miami -8.5 at home.
Yeah, I got Miami as well. I think that New York right now, they don't look good at all. I have no faith in the Jets. They're playing for draft position right now. It's quite clear. And shout out to them. They're one of the first teams to be eliminated from playoff contention. So I got Miami this week. I'm so impressed with what I've seen defensively from them, right? And this is a favorable game for them. They don't even have to deal with the guy you just saw on their screen. Moore, he's out for the Jets. And it's going to be tough, right? With no weapons out there for the Jets, it's going to be a long, long day. I think that when you're looking at Taysom Hill and Alvin Kamara, they had good games against the New York Jets this weekend when it came to the running game. So I think this week, the Finns, they're going to rely on the run. So look for Myles Gaskin to get a lot of touches, utilize the ground game this week. And yeah, I think Miami continues their success. I know they had a bye, so does that stop their run right now? No, I don't think so. I think they continue to roll. They get to 7-7, and they are right in it right now with all the other teams in the AFC.
Okay, another big spread in a divisional game. We got your Cowboys laying 10.5 on the road against the Giants. Who do you like here?
I like the Cowboys this week. I think that New York, again, just like their other New York team, I think they're struggling right now. They don't have a great O-line, and we saw what Dallas did to Washington on the weekend with their D-line. I think the D-line for Dallas is really what's helping them out and really going to help them as we move forward to January. We're seeing Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons, man, this guy is a freak of nature. He's arguably not just the defensive rookie, but defensive player of the year. That's how well he's been playing right now. So I think Dallas is going to bother the offense of the Giants this weekend. But I think when you're looking at the fact that the first meeting was 44-20, right? 44 points, a lot of points. What is Dallas's offense going to look like? That's the one question I have, right? This is a Giants team that always comes up and tries to play well against the Cowboys, right? I know they're not the best team in the league, but it's a divisional game, so they're going to come to play. So how is Dak going to look? I think since that calf injury against the Patriots, he's looked a bit off. I don't really like what I've been seeing from the run game either. It's been okay at best. No Tony Pollard, but at the end of the day, the better team will get this one done. Give me Dallas.
Yeah, I like Dallas in this spot as well. And I think that game had no business being close late against Washington. I mean, they were blowing them out. So if they were able to do that against a much better football team, what are they going to do against a Giants team that, I'll be honest with you, I was watching a little bit of that game between the Giants and the Chargers. And this was the thought I had. I said to myself, how are there Giants fans that literally have to sit there and watch this team every single week? The Giants are a mess right now. Not only is Daniel Jones not healthy, but that offense cannot move the ball. Just the little things they can't do right on special teams. The defense is getting torched. This is a bad Giants football team right now. I mean, this team has not been good whatsoever since Eli Manning retired. It's been so many bad seasons for this team. When are they going to turn the tide? And listen, Joe Judge, who knows what happens with him and his future there in New York. I know they have a couple of nice wins this season, but it's just been a disaster season overall for the New York Giants. So I really feel for that football team and that fan base. And you got the Cowboys that they're going to, run away with this division, it looks like. If they can win and beat the Giants here, and then they beat the football team, who I believe they play next week, they wrap up the division. So Dallas right now, they got bigger things on their mind. The one thing, though, is do not underestimate the Giants, like you said. This is a team that they have shown up in a couple of these spots at home. Do not take them too lightly. It is a divisional game at the end of the day. They did beat the Eagles, who are red hot a couple of weeks ago. But if Dallas can take care of the business, move the chains, not make silly mistakes or turnovers like Dak had in that game against Washington towards the end of it, they should be okay to blow the Giants out here. So I do like the Cowboys in the spot.
Yeah, I agree. I agree for sure. Limit the mistakes and limit the penalties as well. But now to the other two teams in the division, we have Washington playing against Philadelphia. This is a very important game for both teams, trying to keep pace with the other squads in the NFC playoff picture, looking for wildcard spots. So who's your pick here?
Yeah, I like the football team +5. I think this is a team that is still playing really, really well despite that hiccup, that loss against the Cowboys. I like them a lot better than I like the Eagles. Which version of the Eagles are we going to get? I think Hurts is expected to be back as a starter here, so they're not going to be playing Minshew. Minshew mania is on pause at the moment. The Eagles are 3-7 against the spread in the last 10 games following the bye, so maybe that pause is going to be detrimental to them. I like the football team to not only cover this game, but to win this game. I think this is the better team of the two. And I think whoever loses this game, they're going to have a big blow to their playoff chances. So, I do not like Philadelphia in this spot. I think Hurts is going to struggle. That's going to lead the fan base to call for Minshew once again, creating some more quarterback controversies. So I do like the football team. I like what this team has been able to do on the ground with Gibson, Heineke. He's a gamer. Like, even in that game against the Cowboys, like, he never gave up. He put his head down and he did whatever he could to get his team back into that football game, which he did. So I trust that more than I trust what I've seen from the Eagles over their entire body of work this season. So I do like the football team in the spot.
I agree. I think that Washington's going to come up big here. They had a 4-game win streak, right, just to fall to Dallas last week, but they're going to get right back in the win column. And here, I think that Philly, they need this win just as much, obviously, because if they win this game, then Philly's chances to make the playoffs spike to 50%. If they lose, it goes to 11. As for Washington, if they win, it goes to 55%. If they lose, 13% chance. So this is a huge game, right? But Washington right now, they currently they hold the advantage over Philly for playoff advantage based on the fact that their conference record is better. But we'll see. The head-to-head is always critical. I think that Taylor Heineke, he did get hurt against Dallas on his knee, but he's likely to go. And if he is going to be out there, I think he's going to have a nice day, right? He had trouble with Dallas. Why? Because that O-line had trouble. I think the O-line comes up big here and it allows Taylor Heineke to have time back there. And I think Terry McLaurin, he's going to be somebody to watch because McLaurin, he had no targets. He had 2 targets. Trey Diggs, he shut him down on Sunday. But this week, I think a big game from Scary Terry is going to help Washington. I think Washington gets this one done as they control their own destiny right now, and they get a rebound here.
Okay, we agree there. Next game, we got the Bengals taking on the Broncos. Both these teams with the same record, and this is another big game in terms of playoff implications.
Yeah, this week I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos. I think that a lot of people are going with Cincy this week. Burrow and the Bengals, they look nice at times, but at times they just don't look that great. So I don't know what Bengals team we're going to get here. But same could be said for the Broncos too, right? These are two inconsistent teams right now. But really what's held back the Bengals right now is the fact that they commit mistakes. They're a young team that commits poor penalties and bad turnovers. I don't think that's a recipe for success. And I think with Denver, they'll take advantage of that. If the Bengals don't show up here and limit those mistakes, then the Broncos will have a nice shot to get this win here, or to at least help us out on the spread for this game. I think that when you're looking at Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon, they might not be able to get it going on the ground because the Bengals are 9th against the rush, excuse me. So the running game is going to be a bit tough, but they're going to have some impact in the air. This is a game where Teddy Bridgewater is going to have to throw the ball. I think if he has a nice game in the air, the Bengals might struggle with that because They are near the basement of the league when it comes to pass defense. So, Teddy B, you have to show up this weekend. Give me the Broncos.
Interesting pick. I'm going to go with Cincinnati, 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 road games. And when I look at these two teams, same record, I ask myself, which team do I trust? Which team do I think is better? Which team do I think is more equipped to make the postseason? And it's got to be the Bengals. I mean, this is a team that I've been high on since day one. Yes, they have not looked necessarily good in their last 2 losses, but they did play hard and fight back in that game against San Francisco, which they did have no business winning. I mean, they even led in overtime. They should have won that game. But it's the little mistakes that you see this team make, especially on defense. If they can get it together here, I do like Joe Burrow and that offense to move the football. I know they're going to a tough place to play in Mile High, but I do like the Bengals offense a lot more than I like the Broncos offense. So if this becomes an air show, I trust Burrow a lot more than I trust Bridgewater. It's going to come down to the defenses. Can Cincinnati's defense show up here? They have been very suspect the last couple of weeks. And which Broncos defense are we going to see? Are we going to see the defense that shut down, Herbert a few weeks ago and completely shut down the Lions last week? If that's the case, this will be a very interesting game. But if the Broncos defense does not show up here, I think this is going to be a very big bounce back spot for the Cincinnati Bengals. So I just have a little bit more faith in the Bengals right now. For that reason, I'll take them here on the road.
All right, we disagree with that one. So let's see if we agree here. We have the Falcons and the Niners this week. The Niners are favored.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with the Falcons. I think this is a lot of points for San Francisco, a team that hadn't won a home game until last month. So you look at the Falcons, they're 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 road games, and they've beaten the Niners the last 2 times in this series. So I do like what I've seen from the Falcons. Like the Falcons defense, they have their fair share of problems, but what the one constant has been is the man on the screen. Like Matt Ryan's having a low-key, really good season, and that offense, they put up points. Even when they lose some of these games, they are still able to, put points on the board and make these games interesting. I do not think the 49ers, for as well as they're playing now, getting Debo back was big last week. I know he was expected to miss that game. Kittle's playing out of his mind right now. Garoppolo's making throws. I know they got a lot of key playmakers, but to ask them to cover, a touchdown and seemingly a field goal on top of that, I think that's going to be too much for the Niners. I do think this game is going to be close, and history says last couple of times these two teams have met, it has been close, and the Falcons actually won both. So I'm going to go with them here. I think the Falcons, they still feel really good about their playoff chances. They're going to play hard. And it's not like San Francisco's going up against a scrub team. I think they're going to get the best version of this Falcons team. Can their defense make stops against that Niners explosive offense? That's going to be the big question. If they're able to keep them in check, we should be in store for a close game. So I'll take the Dirty Birds.
Yeah, this should be pretty interesting, actually. I think Atlanta is a team that people are sleeping on. This team could still make the playoffs, guys. But I am taking San Francisco this week. I was very impressed with what I saw in Cincy this past week. The Niners went in there. They had a great game. We saw what Kittle did out there with Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy had some nice drives at the end of the game. I think that San Francisco's defense is going to be the focus of this one. I think that San Fran, that defense, that's the defense that could propel them to getting a playoff spot this year. They're playing nice football right now. I don't know what Matt Ryan's going to do this week. Look, the Falcons, they're still in the race, right? They've won 2 of their last 3, but the problem is they played teams like Jacksonville and beat a struggling Carolina team. So I think this is a lot tougher matchup for them as they fight for a wild card spot right now. I think that this is a spot where we're going to see a lot of, the stars, Kittle, Debo. I think they're going to have big days on this Atlanta defense that has struggled with the better teams in the league, right? With a lot of the playoff teams this season. But watch for AJ Terrell on the Falcons. He's one of the better corners this year. He's got the best catches allowed percentage against, among all corners this year. So he might make a Pro Bowl appearance. But in general, I just don't think that the Falcons defense will be able to shut down San Francisco, who will run the ball effectively. And also, I think Jimmy Garoppolo will have pretty nice drives this weekend. So, yeah, give me the Niners.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about, teams you don't want to play in the AFC and the Colts. I think my team in the NFC would be this Niners team. If they can get in and they're healthy, You got a lot of good players on both sides of the ball that you definitely don't want to play in a playoff game. Okay, next game, we got the Seahawks taking on the Rams. Big divisional game. Rams got to be feeling good after getting that win against the Cardinals, and the Seahawks still mathematically in this thing.
Yeah, this week I got LA, and I know LA is dealing with a COVID, protocol situation right now. So we'll see how that, ends up looking like for this weekend. But I got the LA Rams this week. They're 6-4 against the spread, 9-1 overall in games when they score more than 20 points. I think this is a spot where they will score about 21 or more. This is a game where they're probably actually going to be in the 30s, to be quite honest with you. Seattle's defense hasn't been impressive this year. I know they're playing a bit better, but again, this is a team in the Rams that features a lot of studs. That you got Cooper Kupp continues to impress. He might get the wide receiver triple crown this year. He's balling. We saw OBJ getting more comfortable on Monday night. He got a lot more comfortable in the offense, and obviously Van Jefferson. He's making big plays for this team. So Matt Stafford, he's going to have a big day. And I think the Seahawks, when they're on the road, they do struggle. They have a losing record on the road, and the Rams have a winning record at home. So I got the Rams this weekend. I think Aaron Donald and company will get to Russell Wilson. They love to play Russ because they bother him all the time, it seems. And I know that, again, Seattle has played better offense as of late. But again, I just don't think that this Seattle resurgence will, continue per se this week against, an LA team that features all these guys on both sides of the ball. It's going to be a very tough game for the Seattle Seahawks this weekend.
Yeah, we'll see if this line changes, like you just said, with COVID now being an issue. So, how is that going to affect the Rams? I'm actually going to go the other way. I'm going to take the points with the Seahawks. I look at this as a divisional game, and the Seahawks, they still have something to play for. This is a team that did not put their head down and just have, a lost season. They have come together with a couple of nice wins to now put them at 5-8. If they essentially win out and get some help, they could find themselves in a playoff spot. So I think there's motivation for Seattle here. And I do like what I've seen from this offense. Not only Russell Wilson, but even Penny, who had a big day against the Texans. He totaled 137 rushing yards and had 2 touchdowns. So if the ground game can get it going again here, I think that frees things up for Russell Wilson and his options through the air. We saw Metcalf have a big day as well against the Texans. So I do like what I've seen from Seattle's offense. If their defense can respond, and like you said, when the Rams score 20-plus points, they usually cover and win those games. If they can make this a low-scoring game and limit the Rams, which I think they can do, I think Seattle is going to, keep this game close. I wouldn't be surprised if they could even upset the Rams in this spot. Again, how big of an issue is COVID going to be for the Rams? We've seen what it's done to teams in the past. So, yeah, I like what I've seen from the Seahawks. I think they're going to keep their season alive even further here, and they're going to show up against the Rams.
All right, and let's move to game 14 of 16 this week. We have the Green Bay Packers and your Baltimore Ravens this week. It's a very fun game. Packers favored by 5.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to have to go with the Packers here. I got to take the 5 points. Baltimore right now, they just got so many injuries. And I think John Harbaugh said that he expects Lamar Jackson to be out there. But you ask yourself, are they almost rushing him back just because of, the magnitude of this game and given that the Ravens are still trying to secure a playoff spot? Because I don't know if you do want to rush Lamar Jackson. If he does go, how healthy is he going to look? They got a bunch of other, injuries, Humphreys out for the season. This is just a banged up team. I know they almost came back and beat the Browns, credit to them, but now you're going up against, not the Browns, you're going up against Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, who, if they win out, they get the number 1 seed. So right now, it's their conference to lose, and, destiny's in their hands. So I do think Green Bay, knowing that, a couple more wins here can get them that number 1 seed, that bye, which is so important now more than ever. I think they're going to show up, and this is a team that has covered the number lately. They're 5-0 against the spread in their last 6 road games, and they're 7-1 in their last 8 as a favorite. So I do expect the Ravens to maybe make this game close in the first half, but then second half, I think Aaron Rodgers and that offense will come alive, and it'll be too much for a banged up Lamar Jackson and company. So give me the Pack here.
Yeah, I agree with you on this one. I think the Ravens are in a tough spot, right? There's so many injuries on this team. Like you mentioned Marlon Humphrey, right? That's a huge loss for the Ravens. And again, when you mentioned Lamar Jackson, look, I think this might be a bit early for a comeback. I would like to rest him, but this is not the game where you would want to rest him. So I understand that the Ravens and Harbaugh want him out there just to get another win, right? They need one because their division's so stacked up. The AFC is so bunched up right now. So that's a spot where they want to win, but they're not going to. I think the Packers are going to be continue. They're going to continue to be rolling, right? They're one of the best teams, if not the best team in football right now. I think that the Ravens, they continue to look a bit worse by the week offensively. I don't really know what's going on there. It's a mixture of injuries along with poor play by certain guys. So I don't know if they're gonna, stack up with the Packers offense. I think the Packers offense can do it all. Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball, Devontae Adams, he's gonna have a big, big day. Watch out for him. And as for the running game, I think the running game is going to be there. I think Dylan, he's going to manage to get some nice runs off, and also Aaron Jones, he's going to make his presence felt. So as I look at the offense for the Green Bay Packers this week, I think that they're just too much for the Ravens, who are just beat up right now. And as for the Ravens offense, I don't know who is going to really step up, right? They have some weeks where it's Mark Andrews, some games Hollywood Brown has, things going on. Rashad Bateman, watch out for him. But yeah, I don't know how Lamar is going to look coming off of this injury, right? So, and the Packers, when they're favored 4.5 or more this season, they're unbeaten. So yeah, give me the Packers here. I have a lot of faith in them. I think they're the best team in football right now. The Ravens, it's going to be another tough loss.
Yeah, tough spot for them. Okay, to Sunday Night Football now we go. The Saints taking on the Buccaneers. The Saints have beaten the Bucs the last couple of times these two teams have met up. Are they going to keep it going here?
No, I think that Tampa is my pick here. I think that the New Orleans Saints, when beating Tampa and Tom Brady, their past few games, they've had the passing game really help them out. This week, I don't know what Taysom Hill is gonna, display in terms of passing. I think that the running game is gonna be what New Orleans relies on this week. But given that, you're looking at Alvin Kamara. He had a nice game against the Jets, right? And you're looking at the fact that Josh Allen, he went over 100 yards in their last game, in that Bills game against Tampa Bay. So the Saints, they'll need to run the ball in order to win this game. But again, with Taysom Hill still injured, right, with his finger, I just don't know how this is going to be done for the Saints, right? They're going to have to put points on the board, and it's not just going to be the running game this week. I think that Tom Brady is going to utilize those weapons that he has. Watch out for Chris Godwin. I think he's going to have a nice day. But yeah, all in all, I think the Buccaneers offense is rolling right now. It's been a bit shaky at times, I'm not going to lie, but they're finding their groove as we get late in the year on both sides. Their defense has been looking better and better week by week, and that's what they need in order to be, that team that goes back to the Super Bowl. So yeah, give me the Bucs here. I think that Tom shakes off his woes against the Saints.
Yeah, I got to agree with you. Tampa Bay's offense, it's looked good throughout the entire season, but it's looked even better at home. They should have blown out the Bills. I think they just, took their pedal off the metal. Like, that should not have been close. So, like, they were on their way to blow out a good Bills team. The only chance, the Saints have in this spot is, like you said, can they control the time and run the ball effectively? Their offense has looked a lot better with Kamara there. I mean, look how good they looked against the Jets since he came back. But yeah, you bring up a really good point at quarterback. In those wins that the Saints had against Tom Brady, they had, Jameis Winston. They had Drew Brees. So who are they going to have here? Hill? I don't trust Hill moving the ball in the air. Yeah, he can maybe make things interesting with his feet, but when you go up against the GOAT Tom Brady, a man who right now he's the front runner to win MVP in my opinion.
Yeah,
that's going to be a tall task to ask from Hill to keep up with Tom Brady and that Bucs offense. So I do think the Buccaneers, all the talk's going to be about how the Saints have their number, how the Saints could possibly win this game or keep it close. And, when there's a lot of chatter doubting Tom Brady, what does he do? He shows up. So I do like the Bucs in the spot big. I'm laying the 11.
All right, we agree there. And the last game of the week, we have the Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears, a nice matchup in the NFC North. Who you got here?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to go with the underdog. I like the Chicago Bears in this spot. I thought Fields and that offense played pretty well in that first half against Green Bay, making things close. And there are a couple of numbers I'm going to allude to here. Bears have beaten the Vikings 5 of their last 6 times. Minnesota's 2-9 against the spread in their last 11 games as a favorite, and are 0-7 against the spread against teams with a losing record. So those are some crazy numbers to not ignore. I do think the Bears are going to show up here, primetime at home. They're going to keep this game close. And yeah, I'll take the 3.5. I think this could turn into a field goal type game. You know, Dalvin Cook, can they contain him? And can they, limit Kirk Cousins, who has been having a really good season? We saw Kirk Cousins have a magnificent display against the Steelers. So, how is he going to look in this spot? Extra rest. They played on Thursday night. But I do like Chicago in this spot. I just feel like they have had the Vikings number lately. And, this is it for them. I don't even think they can still make the playoffs, even if they win this game. But they could play spoiler to the Vikings, a division rival of theirs. So I think they will show up here. Give me the points. Give me the Bears. And I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe upset and win this game.
Yeah, you mentioned that the Bears have had, a good time playing the Vikings as of late. They are, the Minnesota Vikings, that is, they're 500 in their last 6 against the Bears. But I got the Vikings this week. I see them as the better squad. I know the Bears played hard in Green Bay. I was pretty impressed with them throughout that one. But ultimately, I'm looking at Kirk Cousins this week. I think he's going to have a big day. And as for the guy on your screen, Justin Fields, how is he going to look this week against Minnesota? I think Minnesota's defense is going to play a nice game and bother him. I think the secondary is going to get, some takeaways this weekend, to be honest with you. And if that's the case, then Minnesota bodes well. I think that, again, when I mentioned Kirk Cousins, he's a guy that is under the radar this year. He's having a nice year. And this is a spot where they know that the Bears do let up defensively, and especially in that secondary. So watch out for Kirk and that connection that he has with Justin Jefferson this week. I think they're going to have some big plays. And now when you're looking at Minnesota, they need to win this game. The playoff chances go to 50% probability if they win. But if they lose, goes down to 11% overall. So they need to get the monkey off their back. They keep on struggling in Soldier Field. I don't know what it is, but I think this week is a week where we're going to see them play for their coach, Mike Zimmer. He's on the hot seat right now. I think that Mike Zimmer, despite winning over the Steelers, that seat's still a bit warm. So we'll see them really come up both sides of the ball, play a good game against a Bears team that is inferior. So give me the Minnesota Vikings this week.
Yeah, Vikings need that win if they want to keep their playoff hopes alive. Should be a good Monday Night Football game. And that's going to conclude our picks against the spread for Week 15. As you see on the screen, Jelani and I agree on a lot of these games, but we do have some differences, the Monday Night Football game being one of them. I think the game that I'm most looking forward to when looking at all these games, Jelani, is going to be that Patriots game against the Colts. Like, that's going to have a true playoff feel, I think. Another big game, I think, is going to be that Packers-Ravens game, especially if Lamar Jackson is able to go. You can never truly count them out. And there's going to be a lot of big spreads to look out for. Can the favorites dominate and keep their playoff hopes very much alive, or will we see some upsets? We did not see any upsets last week, so does that mean we will see some this week? We'll find out. But all in all, it's been an incredible NFL season so far. It's only going to get better. We're almost at the end. These last couple of weeks promise to be great ones. Thank you so much for watching Spreadzies on the Parlay. You can follow us so you keep it locked and loaded with our picks all season long. I'm Luca alongside my co-host Jelani, signing off. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you again next week.